What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Mog House, where today we are continuing our journey through the lore and history of VANA'DIEL. At the end of the last episode, VANA'DIEL was left in a bit of a mess after the Kalu and the Dawn Maidens put a stop to the Zilart's plans of entering paradise and gaining the power of the gods. So, following the explosion, the Zilart are severely reduced in numbers, the remaining Kalu are being walked into Tombury, and the Dawn Maidens are all dead, but have some sort of spirit form. But the effects of this magical explosion didn't end there. It also slowly changed other creatures into the races that we know today. And the first races to rise from the ashes were the Beastmen, and they thrived in this era of darkness. Now, I will dedicate a video going in depth into each race in the future, but for now it's just important to know who is where because basically they own VANA'DIEL. So there are about 6 major Beastmen races, but there are 3 that are the largest. Starting with the Orcs. The Orcs were bloodthirsty and war-hungry creatures. Their homeland were the dark forests of the northern Quan continent. The Yugudu were a bird-like race which prided itself on its religious connection to the gods. But although they were religious in nature, they weren't all loving, benevolent creatures. They were more of a fanatical evil cult. The last are the Quiddav, which are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-like creatures. Seeking precious things like ores and minerals, they grew to become miners and made their homes in the swamps of southern Quan. There were more Beastmen which grew in other parts of the world as well. To the islands of the southwest, the mighty Antiken came to power, creating massive catacombs beneath the island chains. Although I won't go into the Antiken in much detail today, it is said that far beneath the sands, far deeper than we've ever seen in the game, is a huge number of Antiken, possibly in a stasis-like state, that could have won the Crystal War either for the Beastmen or themselves if they had entered the fray. Often overlooked, the Antiken are seriously badass. Anyway, getting off track. The far north islands were home to a giant race of beasts called Gygas, and finally the last and much smaller race was the Sahajins. These fishmen lived in the caves and waters off the coast of the southeastern islands. Together, these 6 races grew in size and number and soon controlled the majority of the known lands of VANA'DIEL. But of course, the universe has a way of balancing itself, and there was light in this era of darkness. Over time, 3 new races fought back against the Beastmen hordes, the first of which were the Galka, a race blessed with hulking, powerful physiques and sheer brute strength. The Galka were the first race to set up camp and create a civilization on VANA'DIEL. Unfortunately, they chose to set up a massive city centered in the Kuat's island region. And when I say massive, it's spread across the entire island. Completely oblivious to the threat below them, the Galka were happy with themselves and their city. The Antiken below them, however, not so much. The ant-like race decided enough was enough with these surface dwellers and completely destroyed the Galka and their city. The Galka survivors were forced to flee through the ancient Koroloka tunnel near their destroyed city in hopes to discover a new home, which of course they did. On the other side of that tunnel are the Zura mines and their current capital, Bastok. The second race to emerge was the Mithra. These enigmatic, almost feline-like creatures were very quick and cerebral warriors. As the male population of the Mithra was extremely low in comparison to that of the female, the men stayed home to raise children while the women formed the political and warrior classes. The Mithra built a relatively small society on the Elshimo island, and although they fought many battles with the Beastmen, they rarely initiated the conflict themselves, protecting themselves seemingly all they were interested in rather than conquering their enemies. Over time, the Beastmen attack decreased. It appeared that while they weren't at peace with each other, the Beastmen of Elshimo Island had an understanding with the Mithra. And finally we come to the Tarutaru. Not blessed with the strength of the Galka or speed and agility of the Mithra, the Tarutaru were highly intelligent. Sure, they would fight as hard as they could when necessary, but in truth they feared the Beastmen hordes. So they basically ran and ran and ran some more. The little guys were taking losses left, right and centre, so you can't blame them for desperately seeking somewhere they could find peace. Eventually, after much searching, they came across an uncharted land which they renamed Windurst, and built a safe place for their people to thrive. Several decades later, a young Taru girl, exploring the mysterious towers scattered across the outskirts of Windurst, lost her way and she came into contact with the last of the Zilart race. She was led to the Full Moon Well, where the power of magic was bestowed upon her and the Tarutaru race. It was at this time she was given the magical Book of the Gods, and had a vision of the future in which she saw the life of the Tarutaru for hundreds and hundreds of years in the future. This girl would become the first Star Sibyl. She and her people would continue to study the magical gift that had been bestowed upon them in order to harness its power, which would see the beginning of a new era, the Great Age of Magic. And this is where we leave the story for now, and we will bring this video to a close. In the next episode, we will briefly get into the Age of Magic itself. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Take care.